Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday, April 21st, 9 a.m. Eastern. So we have SPY here holding up pretty well, opening, currently just about a little bit higher than where we closed yesterday. So we do have most moving averages as support on the 5-minute time frame. We're looking at the high of pre-market as a resistance level of 235.61, and then we're looking at the high of yesterday, which was up at 235.84. If we do break the low of pre-market down at 235.31, we've got the 100 period and the 200 period moving average supports. They're down in the low 235s as well, and the hourly has all hourly moving averages as support because we had such a strong day yesterday. The 20 period hourly is down at the low 235 range as well. So we will be looking at the low 235s as a key level of support to hold if we do see a little bit of weakness first thing. So we know yesterday the bulls proved their strength to us on the daily time frame. We got over the 50-day in the middle Bollinger Band resistances. We saw our increase in bull volume. We're looking at a potential bullish MACD cross, but we are watching this downtrend resistance line, which could come into play today if the bulls show up. This downtrend resistance line is going to be very key, and it did reject the high of yesterday, and it's rejected the last few bounce attempts. So we're keeping an eye on this level. It's going to be just below. It'll be about 235, 80, or 90 at that level, lining up with the high of yesterday. So we'll see if the bulls are able to close over this level to show strength heading into next week, if that were the case, and if we did get some nice follow through. Checking in on the dollar is seeing a little bit of a bounce play out at this point. It's fairly weak. We're anticipating a lower high compared to 161, 160 resistances we have up here to keep the lower high and lower low pattern intact on the dollar that we've been seeing over the past 2 weeks. Gold bulls are liking the start to the day. We had a very clear resistance line yesterday. This is the hourly chart where we just rejected time and time again. And now to start the day, we're over this level. We're consolidating after an initial bull break, and the bulls are trying to hold this level on a back test now. And this red line here is a strong uptrend support line that comes from the daily time frame. And you can see we've been holding this uptrend support line for a few weeks at this point, and actually it's over a month at this point. And you can see we've got a nice little green follow-through day after yesterday. Bulls are holding on just fine on the consolidation that we've been seeing over the past week on gold after that breakout from last week. So gold bulls still in control, but I want to point out again the difference between silver and gold, where the hourly time frame for gold, we were trading sideways, we made a bull break of resistance, and the hourly time frame for silver, we saw a weak bounce attempt, and here we are back down testing the lows. So this again is another reason why we see JNUG a lot weaker than NUGT due to the junior miners more exposure in the silver market, and silver is not doing as well as gold. It has pulled back much more significantly over the past 4 or 5 days. That is a big difference, and that is why we are seeing JNUG struggle to keep up with NUGT. So we will be looking at some of the bull miners today. We have a lot of inside bars on the daily time frame on all the bear and the bull miners. So we're going to be watching the range of yesterday as an indication on direction for today once we get a break of that range. So the bulls will be looking to break the high of yesterday on NUGT, and GDX looking for continuation to the upside. And the gold bulls want us to hold this support like it looks like we're trying to do right here, this back test. Natural gas, actually let's go oil first, then we'll go natural gas. So oil is still very weak, and after that all-out dump, we're still trying to build a base of support, and we haven't really done a good job of it so far. We've got 50.48 as support, and if that breaks, we're looking right down to the low of 50.06. So not really much follow through for the bulls at this point. And this is the range that I'm watching, and the resistance is the highest price we saw on this bounce. That's up at 51.36. Bulls have to break 51.36 in order to see any kind of follow through to the upside on this bounce. You can see no bullish reversal candlesticks. The goal for the bulls today is to form a bullish reversal candlestick to be heading into next week, looking for some of this bounce to play out. Natural gas bouncing off those supports. So we were looking for, if a bearish reaction to the inventory report occurred, we were looking back down to the 312 and 313 support range. We did drop to that level, and we have bounced off of it. Now the bears want to see a lower high here form on natural gas. Right now resistance is 3185, and that key support is down at 3134. So the bears want to see a lower high and then a move back down to those levels. And looking at the daily time frame, we have a lower high and lower low pattern still in play. And if we do break this 313 support, look how many times we have tested this level in the past couple of weeks. The lows of these candlesticks bouncing off this 313 support about a half dozen times at this point. So that is a clear support level to be watching, and if it breaks, it is going to shift this daily bounce that we've been seeing play out now for almost 2 months at this point. and that would change the momentum to favor the bears more significantly. So that's a very key support on natural gas. Looking at Bitcoin, the bulls continue this move. They are certainly strong. We've got resistance at 1260 from here, and trying to head back up towards the all-time high after 1260 is 1298, and then the all-time high. So bulls still in full control on this bounce, and a really nice recovery for the Bitcoin bulls after all of that significant downside that we did see coming off of that all-time high. Plays I'm going to be watching today, I'm going to be watching the very tight range on PCLN, and I'm going to be watching the hourly time frame. Let's look at it on the daily first, and then we'll zoom into the hourly. It's an extremely tight range that is going to break today, in my opinion. And it is an ascending triangle, so we can see here on the hourly time frame our horizontal resistance line around 1772, 1773, and our higher lows of support. The low of yesterday, 1760, is support. The low of the previous day was 1757, then 1755. So you can see the range is tightening with a clear horizontal resistance and a higher low pattern, and we are very likely to break from that level today. I was very surprised that the bulls could not get a bull break yesterday with the market strength that we saw. So watching now to see if the bulls are going to act as a bit of a laggard and get that bull break here to start today. Also going to be watching Tesla. A lot of volatility yesterday due to that bearish news reaction. The range to be watching on Tesla is $300 support, where we hit our double bottom before the bounce played out, and then the high of the bounce was 304.50. So that's the two levels that I'm watching for the range this morning to see which breaks first and whether or not the bulls can hold that $300 level heading into next week. And I'm also going to be watching a couple bulls. If the market bulls show up today, if we see the SPY strength, we're going to be looking for Facebook to continue. It's a blue sky breakout bull above the upper Bollinger Band. There is no resistance besides 145.25. Then we're looking up to 145 after that. It's actually 144.25. Then we're looking to 145. On the verge of a bullish MACD cross, and if the market bulls show up and the tech sector bulls show up, Facebook is certainly positioned as one of the lead bulls to see this continuation. Baba is also a breakout bull, very nice volume and a big time bull move yesterday. We saw Baidu break out on Wednesday. We saw Baba break out on Thursday. Let's see if we can get some Baba continuation. We don't have many resistance levels left until the all-time high at 120, and this is an extremely strong uptrend. And after rejecting from the daily upper Bollinger Band 6 days in a row, we closed above it yesterday. So we're looking at 113.60 and then 114 as the next two resistance levels on Baba. Let's get into some 5-minute setups and what you all want to look at. And we will start with ICPT. So ICPT was very tight yesterday with horizontal trading just sideways. So the range that I'd be watching is the low of that consolidation of 106.95, and actually that was 106.61, the low of consolidation, and then the high of this bounce attempt was up at 107.41. And then we fit within that range for the next 4 hours. So it's very tight. The daily time frame was an inside bar showing this tightening range, and we are looking for an oversold bounce to get a little bit of momentum to the upside. We've been driven down from exponential daily resistance for the past month, and the bulls are in a pretty good position to see these levels become support. Pretty good bull volume yesterday on the verge of a bullish MACD cross. So if we get a break of that level, 107.41 and then 107.75, the bulls could see some short-term upside, and it's definitely worth watching this play for that bullish momentum. And on the weekly time frame, trying to see a bullish reversal doji form after 6 weeks of red. So definitely liking the setup on ICPT. And if we break this sideways range to the upside to start the morning, we know the bulls have a bit of momentum. GOLD, the ticker. Weakness here pre-market with all 5-minute moving averages as resistance, 90.23, 90.45. Watching a very tight range on the daily from yesterday, and we are building a base of support at $90 the past 2 days. Those levels need to hold. If we break $90, it's a bear break to start today. If $90 can hold, that will be a triple low the past 3 days, and the high of yesterday will be resistance of 90.96, but the bulls have to get over all these 5-minute moving average resistances in order to be looking up at the high of yesterday. So with a weak open, the goal for the bulls this morning really is just to hold $90 and try and build a base of support and continue to hold that level. Hourly time frame, we have all hourly moving averages resistance as well. So the bears do have momentum on gold. It's just up to whether or not the bulls can hold $90 support first thing this morning. So Tesla, we got the range that we're going to be watching. It's that range of that bounce. So just look at the 2-day 5-minute chart. You can see the dump, our base at 300, and our high of 304.50. We then formed a higher low. So if you want to even get more specific with these levels, we can look at 301.34 support and resistance of 302.90. That would be a tighter, it was actually resistance of 303 on the dot. That would be a tighter range to be watching, but if you want that broader range, it's 300 to 304.50, and it's just reaching an equilibrium pattern where we had the dump, our high of the bounce, higher low, lower high, and then we ran out of time at the end of the day. So we're going to be starting today looking at that range of yesterday. And a bearish break of 300, and the uptrend on the daily time frame of higher lows will be in jeopardy in the short term. ATRA, all 5-minute moving averages support 1947, and then down to 1880. There's a lot of space here between these moving averages. So we've got the high of yesterday as resistance of 1910, looking like a potential gap up open is coming. Want to be cautious on that gap up open. As always, the gap would fill down at 1910 if we do consolidate. So it depends where we open, what we're going to be looking at, but resistance on the daily time frame is 2025 and then 2090. And it looks like we have a nice bull flag on the weekly time frame. And that's actually not the case. It's not a bull flag. Just looking at the daily time frame, it looks like normal, healthy consolidation over the past 6 weeks. Lower highs and lower lows, but the bulls are trying to break that lower high pattern. And you could draw a downtrend resistance line, and I'm going to do that real quick and pull it up. But there's a downtrend resistance line that's going to be tested on this gap up. And we actually did close just above that downtrend resistance line yesterday. So that would be a downtrend resistance I'd be watching. The bulls have now broken above it. We have a gap up open today, and we're looking up in the 2090 range as the next resistance level on ATRA. JUNO, another tight range. So we pretty much just tightened the whole range yesterday from the first hour of trading. So we have our high and our low, lower high, higher low, lower high, higher low, very, very tight right at the end of the day, and just ran out of time before the break. So I would be watching support of 2481, the latest higher low, and the latest lower high of 2512. That's a really nice 5-minute pattern to be watching first thing. And we've got the 200-day moving average resistance. That's going to be down in the 2530s to start today. And the high of yesterday was 2525. So a couple resistance levels lining up. Juno has broken the downtrend on the daily by breaking the lower high pattern. Goal for the bulls at the end of today is to close above 2494 to close above the weekly upper Bollinger Band and be looking for momentum heading into next week. So a clear channel to be watching on the 5-minute time frame from yesterday's trading, and the bulls want to head up and break these resistance levels, but we do need to be aware of that 200-day moving average and watching where we close relative to the weekly upper Bollinger Band. JDST, we know JDST is the name to be looking at if bearish on these miners, and we're starting week with gold seeing a little bit of upside this morning. So we have all 5-minute moving averages as resistance. I'm looking at the high of this attempt at 1622, and then upper 1620s have resistance as well. Support is down at 16 even, and then the low of yesterday of 1569. And again, a lot of inside bars on the daily time frame for both the bull and bear miners. So if we get a break of 1569, the bears take control of the short term. JDST has seen a pretty nice move over the past week, and we'll be watching to see if we do consolidate. So that 1569 support is key, and if we break the low pre-market of $16, that's the next level to be looking at. So JNUG is seeing a little bit of upside, and we know that if we want to play bull miners, in my opinion, you want to be playing NUGT. But JNUG, we have a channel here on the 5-minute time frame to be watching heading into the open. That's 573 to 579. Pretty tight channel. We should see that break fairly quickly. And we've got the inside bar from yesterday. So if it's a bull break over 579, we're looking at the high of yesterday of 609. And if it's a bear break of 573, we're looking down at the low of yesterday of 571. So we are closer to a bear break than we are to a bull break on JNUG. And again, it's just such a weaker daily chart compared to NUGT at this point. Almost like comparing apples and oranges at this point to these two charts, which are so used to being so strongly correlated. Not the case recently. X-Bulls had a really nice day yesterday, saw some consolidation at the end of the day, but we are seeing a higher open. So we're going to be watching the high of yesterday. If the bulls want to see this power move with big bull volume, see continuation, we need to break 3106. 30.76 is key support, the 100 period 5-minute, because if we lose that level, there's a lot of space to the downside. So bulls need to hold 30.76, and they need to break 31.06. We haven't even confirmed a bullish reversal candlestick. That big bull day yesterday was the bullish reversal candlestick. We need to confirm it today. We have to be aware that the daily chart is one brutal downtrend over the past 6-7 weeks, so that any bounce we have to be quick on because we're going to be anticipating that it's just another lower high. So we'll be watching 31.06. If the bulls can break that level, the next resistance level is the daily middle Bollinger Band, which is going to be just above $32. So again, anything lower than 34.93 on this bull bounce is just another lower high on the daily time frame, and that's still over 10% away to the upside. So we have to keep in mind that we are in a downtrend, and the bull bounces have been short-lived. AAOI. Pretty straight across here pre-market. We're in a very tight range with an inside bar on the daily time frame with decreasing volume 4 days in a row. So we know a break is imminent. If we get a break of 44.35, and actually looks like we got a gap up open. So a strong start to the day. Resistance is going to be 46.37 from here on the daily time frame. And in terms of pre-market, 45.99 is the high of pre-market. If we do break the low of pre-market of 45.52, we will be looking down towards filling that gap, and that gap would fill down at 44.35. So we know that 20-period moving average support on the 5-minute time frame is very key on gap ups, and if we lose that level and break this low that has been established so far, we will be looking at weakness towards filling that gap. So the bulls really want to see some upside and head up to $46 to start the day, and we are right on this 20-period moving average, grinding straight across at that level. It's going to be tested in the first 5-minute candlestick. We'll have to see where it closes relative to that level. GS is trying to keep all 5-minute moving averages as support. The financial sector had a big day yesterday. It too is in a long-term, well, I shouldn't say long-term, but a daily downtrend over the past 6 weeks or so. So we have to keep in mind that these bounces are going against the recent trend, but GS had a nice bullish day yesterday. The high was 218.98, so the bulls need to break 218.98 for continuation, and then we're looking at 219.89 before we start filling the gap to the upside, which would fill at 223.02. So the goal for the bulls is another green day. Same scenario as X. This was a bullish reversal candlestick yesterday. It needs to be confirmed today with further follow-through. And to see that confirmation more likely, we have to break the high of yesterday to see that continuation. So 218.98 is the level to break. Support, if we lose this 20-period 5-minute of 218.18, we're looking down at 217.40 as the next support from there. And of course, we're looking at the hourly moving averages, and we do have a lot of space to the upside here for this bounce to continue on the hourly time frame. So we'll see if the financial sector bulls can keep up the very strong day yesterday and keep that going into today. ADBE. ADBE had a bull day yesterday, breaking to higher highs, but we rejected from the tight upper Bollinger Band, and that level was 131.51. So we must update that upper Bollinger Band at the open today. It's still going to be acting as resistance. High of yesterday was 131.99. We're going to test that level right at the open, it looks like, and if we get a bull break, we are certainly looking for continuation. Checking the weekly time frame to see where we stand overall. That is one very bullish weekly chart. Looks like we are at all-time highs. Zooming back real quick. And we are at all-time highs, and that is one beast of a chart over the past 2 years. So looking for continuation, and if we get a break of 131.99, we're looking at just psychological levels, 132.50, 133, but we have to be aware of that daily upper Bollinger Band, need to close above it to be in blue sky, full-on breakout mode. Otherwise, we will be watching that upper Bollinger Band, which is keeping a cap on the price currently. JD. Above the upper Bollinger Band on the daily time frame in breakout mode, we had a quick dip yesterday, and the bulls did buy that dip and saw some higher lows on the 5-minute time frame for the rest of the day. Update that upper Bollinger Band at the open. It's going to be in the 33.80s, and it's going to start today as support, and the bulls want to keep it that way by closing above that level. So looking at the weekly time frame to see where resistance is, the high of yesterday was up at 34.14, so that's the first resistance we're going to be testing, and then it's the upper Bollinger Band on the weekly, which is going to be in the low 34.30s as we approach that level. So a couple resistances right nearby here, and we'll see if the bulls can have a strong day to close in breakout mode. We have broken the downtrend on the weekly time frame. That broke a while ago, a couple months ago, and now the bulls are seeing continuation and follow through now that the trend has reversed in their favor. So upper Bollinger Band on the weekly is the resistance level to be watching if we can break 34.14, the high of yesterday. NVDA had a strong follow through day yesterday, certainly seeing benefit from the market strength. And we're going to be looking at its high of yesterday of 101.45. If the bulls can break that level, we're looking at 101.73. That's a pretty important level for me on the daily time frame, so that is a key resistance to be watching. We have our double low the past 2 days, 99.41 is a must-hold support for the NVDA bulls. We've got all 5-minute moving averages to start today, and we've got all hourly moving averages as support as well. So bulls definitely have momentum in the short term. Look at this 20-period hourly support. We held it at the lows of yesterday. We're holding it at these lows of pre-market. So that 20-period hourly at 174, that would be the first support level that I would be watching, and knowing that the bulls still remain in full control as long as that hourly 20-period is holding. So high of yesterday, 101.45, looking like we're going to test that level early on. And as always, worth checking in on AMD and MU to see what the rest of the sector is doing. Netflix on watch today to confirm the bullish reversal candlestick from yesterday after the brutal pullback after the earnings. So we have to break 141.80 first things first in order to increase the odds that we do see that bullish reversal candlestick confirmed. After 141.80, we're looking at 142. Then I'm looking at some previous support levels now, resistance, looking up at 142.76 after that. So the bulls are positioned pretty well here pre-market with all 5-minute moving averages as support. Looks like we're going to test that 141.80 level early on, and there's a lot of space on the hourly to the upside. The next hourly resistance is up at 143.51. So the bulls aren't really worried about hourly resistance. We're just looking at that high of yesterday and need a nice solid green day of follow through for the bulls to confirm this candlestick. And ideally, the bulls want to see more than 7 million shares traded to do so, to see increasing bull volume, giving the bulls a lot more confidence. If we were to see increasing bull volume, that would go a long way for confidence heading into next week. XBI, we know that key 50-day moving average resistance has rejected the 3 of the last 4 attempts. Or actually, I should say 3 attempts in the last 5 days have rejected from this level. It's in the low $69 range, just above that. So if the bulls show up today, we will test that level. It's an inside bar on the daily time frame as well. So if 68.81, the high of yesterday, breaks, we're looking right up to the 50-day moving average resistance from there. In order for the daily higher low pattern to hold, which we've been in the past 2 weeks, I'm looking at 67.46 as the level that the bulls want to hold. But we have this nice action from yesterday, very clear higher lows, and the support on the 5-minute that I would be looking at is 68.49, 68.46. So we built a base of support in the 68.40s, 68.43. So those would be a key level that the bulls would need to hold first thing this morning in order to show the most strength. So inside bar on the daily time frame worth watching. 50-day resistance, key level. Checking in on STV. STV has all 5-minute moving averages as support, 159. The 20-period is trying to catch up, and it looks like we have a gap up open. So as we know, this 20-period moving average support is key. I would also be watching the low of this consolidation of 175 and 173. If 173 breaks here first thing at the open, we are looking down to this 20-period moving average, and we could see some consolidation and profit taking from the gap up open. Resistance is going to be $2 and $2.12, the high of pre-market. And we'll see if the bulls can maintain this 173 low. If they can hold 173 at the open, we will be looking for an upside move back up towards the $2 range. So a high-risk, high-reward play, seeing a gap up open. Bulls need to hold that strength. Otherwise, we look towards filling the gap to the downside. That's all the way down at 129. So the last thing the bulls want to do is lose a 20-period 5-minute support, because that means we're heading down to fill that gap back down into the 129 range. INUV. Losing the 20-period moving average support, so it looks like another gap up scenario. 133 was the high of yesterday, so if we have this 20-period 5-minute as resistance to start the day, we will look at the potential to fill that gap back down to 133. So bulls want to regain this 20-period moving average at 150, and then we're looking at resistance levels up at 161, and then the high of pre-market 167. So need that 20-period moving average back as support first thing this morning. Otherwise, we're looking down to 133 support. SQ on the daily, bulls, nice follow through. We saw that strong bull break from a very tight range on Wednesday, and pretty much ideal scenario follow through for the bulls. We're looking back at the all-time high here, and that was a really strong close yesterday on increasing bull volume above the upper Bollinger Band. So we've got resistance, the high of yesterday of 1775. We're right at that level. High of pre-market is 1783, and then I'm looking at After 1783, it's 18 and 1817, the all-time high. Update the upper Bollinger Band at the open. The bulls want to close above that level again today to be heading into next week in breakout mode, and we've got a bullish MACD cross underway. We knew that consolidation for SQ on the weekly time frame coming off of that all-time high was very strong, and now we're seeing that follow through to the upside. Really liking SQ as a bull and looking for some nice follow-through today. Ideal day for the bulls. Well, ideal day would be a new all-time high, but bulls would certainly take a close over 18 to show a lot of strength into next week, looking for a new all-time high next week. Believe I already did AAOI. BITCF. BITCF inside bar yesterday with a tightening range compared to Wednesday, which was a large volume profit-taking day on Wednesday. So the range to be watching is 321 support, and resistance is up at 49. And we can be watching this action from yesterday. If I were looking for a bullish position, I would want 378 to hold. That's the low of consolidation in the afternoon from yesterday. And we've got resistance levels of 44, 448, and then up to 49. So I would say must-hold level to start the morning is 378, and we'll see if the bulls can break these little lower highs on the 5-minute time frame from all afternoon yesterday and get a bull break up towards the high of yesterday of 49 cents. So a tightening range from yesterday, and we could see a break. And we know Bitcoin is doing well, so let's see if the bulls can continue here. And this ticker is up many hundreds of percent, over 1,000% up in the past 7 weeks. So certainly responding well to the Bitcoin strength. TWLO has seen a nice run over the past few days. Saw some profit taking yesterday. A bearish reversal candlestick formed on the daily time frame. If we break the low of yesterday of 31.46, the odds of confirming that bearish reversal candlestick are very likely. So 31.46 is support. Then we're looking down at 31.09 on the hourly time frame. The 20-period moving average is resistance at the moment of 31.78. So TWLO, after a big bull run the past 2 weeks, we are looking for normal, healthy consolidation, and a break of 31.46 would confirm that we are likely to see that. Resistance will be the daily upper Bollinger Band. Update that level at the open. It's going to be right around $32 psychological, just above that level. And that was resistance yesterday. We could not hold that level. So watch where that level is at the open. GBTC. GBTC, so pre-market here, looks like we have... The high of yesterday was 128.90, so we're close to that level. Bulls want to break 128.90 to be looking up at 132 as the next resistance level. And GBTC certainly looks very similar to the Bitcoin daily chart, which makes sense as it is the Bitcoin Investment Trust. So bulls in control, 128.90 key resistance. We've got pre-market support of 127, and the low of yesterday was 126.50. So bulls want to see continuation and break 128.90. The sooner the better, and then that 132 level would come next. FNSR, looking for an oversold bounce on the daily time frame. We had a bullish reversal candlestick yesterday. We must break 22.19 early today to see continuation. 22.15 is the last 5-minute moving average resistance. After 22.19, there's a lot of space on the hourly, and there's a lot of space on the daily. So that is the level to break. And after 22.19, we'll look to the exponential daily resistances, which have been resistance for the past 3 weeks. But it's all about 22.19 first thing, and a bearish break of 21.53 would indicate that the bulls have absolutely no momentum and the bears are back in full control. SQ earnings next week. Thanks for that heads up. ADSK. Bulls held on nicely at the end of the day yesterday. Key support that was built on the last 3 hours of trading was 88.23. So bulls want to hold 88.23. We're above the upper Bollinger Band on the daily. We need to update that level at the open and continue to close above it to remain in breakout mode. We have a bunch of resistance up at 89.18, 89.15. Those are 2 levels to be watching. And if we get above 88.19, or excuse me, that's 89.18. If we get above 89.18, that would show a lot of strength on the daily time frame. So the bulls are holding up, want to close above the upper Bollinger Band today to remain in breakout mode. And that key support first thing is 88.23. Cost has all 5-minute moving averages as support. Bulls starting in control, 171.09. Resistance yesterday was 171.18, so we are seeing a gap up open. And the next resistance level, if we can get a bull break of 172.11, we're looking up at a gap fill, and the gap will fill up at 176.51. So it's all about 172.11 resistance from here. If we lose the 20-period 5-minute moving average, we will fill the gap. So that 20-period 5-minute is pretty much where the high of yesterday was. So that would automatically fill the gap if we were to even test that level. But it's all about 172.11, and I will be a lot more interested in the bulls if we break that level as we start filling that gap to the upside. So checking in on SPY as we head into the open, and we're seeing some weakness here into the open. 235 is where those supports were. So 235.03, and then hourly support on SPY is 235 on the dot. We need to see the bulls hold these levels first thing at the open. Definite weakness here first thing. GILD is getting ready on the daily time frame. I still want to see a little bit of follow through from these bulls. And it's the daily middle Bollinger Band that I want to see become support. That's going to be in the 66.70s, so it is going to start the day as resistance yet again. And the bulls have rejected from this level the past few attempts. We're in a clear downtrend over the past 7 weeks, so I wouldn't give the bulls any credit here. They are building a base of support at the $66 range, but I need to see that daily middle Bollinger Band become support before I believe that these bulls have any momentum to the upside to try and change this daily downtrend. So updating that daily middle Bollinger Band on Guild here right at the open, and it's at 66.78 resistance. So watching to see if these SPY bulls can hold the low 235s as support. We've got Facebook closing in on its all-time high. We'll see if the bulls can break that level. And definitely that shift, that pullback in SPY in the last 20 minutes has shifted where momentum is heading currently. So we've got the tech sector and the financial sector in the red to start. Watching Netflix, 141.80, the high of yesterday, has to break for those bulls. And Baidu is seeing some strength here first thing. Baidu has a daily inside bar to be watching. Upper Bollinger Band is 179.13. The bulls must close above that level. Resistance is 180.38. And we did already break the high of yesterday by 2 pennies. Let's see if the Baidu bulls can get any kind of follow through here. Keeping an eye on X. X is up near the high of the day. After 30.84, we're looking at the high of yesterday for X. So some indecision on SPY here first thing. We'll have to see how it plays out in the first 10-15 minutes of trading. MXIM. Seeing a bullish start out of the open. We've got 44.73. So bulls are buying this gap down open. And the gap fills back to the upside at 44.74. And that lines up right with 5-minute resistances. If looking for a bearish entry, we can look once that gap fills. If we reject from these 5-minute moving average resistances at 44.73 and 44.85, keeping an eye out for weakness to see if after buying this gap down, if that's where the bears reject the price from. QCOM. Weakness out of the gate, 52.54 is the last 5-minute moving average support. We had a bullish reversal hammer yesterday, but we're not off to a good start to confirm that candlestick. We have to break 53.40 in order to be looking good to confirm that candlestick. And right now, the bulls are just trying to hold 52.54. If we break that level, I'm looking down at 52.30 as the next support. So still some weakness in SPY. The bulls haven't proven anything to us. PCLN is trying to defend 1760 support. Still very tight on PCLN. No break there. Tesla bulls are up at the high of the day. 304.50 is Tesla resistance. Facebook bulls are at the high of the day. All-time high, 144.25 is resistance. Netflix setting a lower high compared to yesterday. Until we break 141.80, the bulls are not going to be confirming that reversal candlestick from yesterday. CMG bulls are back in control. They are just not confirming any bearish reversal candlesticks on the daily. 483.50 is CMG resistance to be watching. X-Bears are taking back over. Low of the day is 30.44, and then we're looking down to $30 psychological support. And it seems time and time again, a quick flush in the morning on X is very common. LVS. LVS on the daily time frame. Upper Bollinger Band daily is resistance of 57.80, and the high of today is 57.77. So we are pulling back from that upper Bollinger Band after a very bullish day yesterday. Bulls are going to have to close above 57.80 to be in breakout mode heading into next week, and the high of yesterday was 57.94. So a little bit of consolidation is normal and healthy at this point after that big bull day yesterday, and hourly support on LVS 20-period hourly has a ways to go before catching up. That's down at 57.11. So that would be my target on LVS if we do see further consolidation, 57.44 and 57.11. SPY bears are in control with a new low of the day, so that's not looking good for the Netflix bulls in the attempt to confirm that candlestick from yesterday. Facebook bulls 8 cents from a new all-time high. Baba is a bearish open, so the market weakness in the last 20 minutes pre-market definitely shifted momentum, and the high of yesterday on Baba was 113.60, and the high of today is 112.94, so it's a lower high. We're looking at normal healthy consolidation on Baba. Support is 112.24, and we are losing the hourly 20-period moving average support, so obviously not the kind of market conditions that we want the bulls to be favorable in, or that we want the bulls to have to be favorable in. Need to see the SPY bulls hold these low 235s. If SPY breaks these low 235s, we're going to be looking down at yesterday for support levels, and I would be looking down. We didn't build a ton of support when we broke out so strong. So if we break 235, I'm looking down at 234.80 and 234.55 on SPY. ASPS. Higher open after an all-out dump day yesterday. Bulls need to hold 27.03. Resistance is 28.35. So the bears in control of SPY. SPY is oversold. The 5-minute RSI is 23. So the odds of the bulls being able to hold 235 on this first attempt are more likely than not due to the RSI on the 5-minute being oversold already. Sam getting his BA breakout. We need to close over 180.08 today to close above the upper Bollinger Band. That daily upper Bollinger Band has rejected the last 4 attempts, including the last 3 days in a row. So must close over the daily upper Bollinger Band. And then we're looking at 180.18, and it looks like we are right at that level. Nice bull break over that level. So we did break the lower high pattern on the daily. Goal for the bulls is to close above the upper Bollinger Band in breakout mode. So not seeing a lot of bullish follow-through with this weakness in SPY first thing. And in terms of bear names to be looking at, Amazon has been fairly weak the past couple of days, did not participate in the bull rally yesterday. Amazon support is 900 and 896.29. And the low of the day is 900 right now. Let's see if these SPY bulls can see a short-term 5-minute oversold bounce from 235. As Tesla is rejecting from 304.50, unable to break the high of the bounce attempt yesterday afternoon, so the range is still tightening on Tesla. Checking in on gold, the commodity. Bulls are still trying to hold that support of 1282 on the back test. And checking in on miners. Some weakness in the miners first thing, trying to recover, but a clear lower high, lower low pattern on the 5-minute, including pre-market. So those miners had inside bars on the daily time frame to be watching, and we're still seeing tightening ranges on that daily chart. And as we know, if SPY rolls over and loses this 235 support, those bull miners and gold likely to see some upside with the inverse relationship to the market. Bear break on Amazon of $900 support. We're looking down at the low of yesterday as the next support. And watching Tesla's range continue to tighten, $300 is the must-hold support for the bulls there. So we're looking down at $30 psychological support on X. OCLR, big time breakout. Nice big volume to go with it. Bull break of the inside bar on the daily time frame happened at 860. Another bull break over 885, and we're right at that resistance. Need to break 885, and then we're looking at $9 psychological. 5-minute RSI is 79. TWLO continues to consolidate. No sign of the bulls in TWLO today. So there's SPY seeing a little bit of a bounce off that 235 level. 200 period 5-minute support trying to hold. 5-minute RSI cooling off. Oversold bounce. FNSR had to break that high of yesterday, and we're off to a great start, blowing right through that level. Nice follow through for the bulls there. Lots of space on the hourly until the next resistance. I'm looking at daily exponential resistance of 2261, and then we're looking up to 23. So Amazon, one of the lead bears so far this morning. Facebook still holding up well, even though we couldn't get a new all-time high. Certainly not that far off from it. We've got Tesla down at the low of the day, just going into the red. Keeping an eye on SPWR. I'm looking for another higher low on the daily to be formed. Our most recent higher low was 646. That's a must-hold level. And now we're looking at 669 as support, and the low of today is 670. So the bulls are trying to form a higher low at 669. And watching to see if they're able to hold that level today. BITCF. Checking the daily again. We had that tightening inside bar from yesterday. 49 cents was the level to break, so that is still the key resistance to be watching. And we need to break the lower high pattern on the 5-minute from yesterday. We need a bull break of 44 cents to be looking up at 49 cents. BABA 112.24 is the last 5-minute moving average support, and we are consolidating. All depends on the time frame for the trade. If looking at expiration today on a BABA bull trade, certainly the momentum is currently favoring the bears, but the daily chart is full-on bull, and this is very normal, healthy consolidation on the daily time frame so far at this point. So the bulls are just trying to hold the low, that last 5-minute moving average support of 112.24, and seeing some bullish reaction to SPY, which SPY's got this oversold bounce underway, watching to see how much momentum the SPY bulls can put behind it. So SPY is cooling off the RSI, but still rejecting from 5-minute exponential resistances, so the bulls aren't really proving anything to us. Netflix bulls are still at the high of the day. They have to break 141.80. And Tesla, or I should say Amazon bears, still down at the low of the day in the lead. If PCLN breaks 1760 more convincingly, we're looking at 1757 and 1755 supports on that very tight daily range. You can see the BABA bulls are responding to SPY strength, and I wouldn't even call it SPY strength at this point. They're responding to the SPY bounce pretty significantly, as the BABA bulls are very quickly back at the high of the day. The upper Bollinger Band on the daily for BABA is the level to close above today, and that's at 113.19. TEVA 5-minute support is 30.88. Checking the daily time frame. Bullish reversal doji yesterday. We already broke the high of yesterday of 30.95, so off to a good start to confirm that candlestick. Just well aware we are in a very clear downtrend over the past 2 months. Just lower highs and lower lows. Playing bullish bounces is absolutely fighting the trend, but we do have a little bit of an oversold bounce underway. In terms of resistance from here, we do have some space to the upside. It's daily exponential resistances that are currently standing in the way, and it's 31.02. And then I'm looking up at 31.18 as the next resistance from there. So a good start to the day for the bulls. They need to hold all 5-minute moving average supports and head back up and see a new high of the day to see a bit more convincing follow through on this bounce. STV, that 20-period moving average support of 167 needs to hold. After this gap up open, if we lose that 20-period moving average, we see further profit taking filling the gap to the downside. Resistance is the high of the day of 182. Key 167 support test. Tesla, the inability to break 304.50 was a potential indication of consolidation, but keeping in mind we're still in a very tightening range, so we might not see a lot of volatility on Tesla until either 300 or 304.50 breaks. Otherwise, we're still in a tightening range with that bounce that played out yesterday afternoon and didn't see much follow through. PCLN has a new low of the day, so we are seeing a bear break from the tightening range on the daily time frame. It'll be a much more clear bear break if 1755 were to fail. X has all kinds of volatility this morning. Big bull candlestick with big bull volume behind it, right back to the high of the day. It's now a double top at the high of the day. We have to break 30.40. Or make that 30.84, sorry. Double top at 30.84, very clear resistance. So SPY oversold bounce still underway. Still testing 5-minute exponential resistance. And as I said, the bulls had to hold 235, and they did show up right when they needed to. So let's see if this 235 level can hold throughout the morning. Netflix broke the high of yesterday by 5 cents, so the Netflix bulls have a bit of momentum. Let's see if we can get over 142 psychological, the next resistance from here. All 5-minute moving averages as support. Next hourly resistance is not in the picture at 143.51. And we still have Facebook bulls on the brink of their all-time high. Tesla down at the low of the day. 300 is a must hold. Yelp bulls must break 34 and 34.14 resistances in order to break the lower high pattern on the daily time frame. We're right at the daily upper Bollinger Band and the 50-day moving average resistances, 33.80 and 33.77. I do not like a bullish entry at these resistance levels just below 34 and 34.14 key resistances. Ideal scenario for the bulls would be to, or I should say ideal scenario looking for a bullish entry would be to reject from this upper Bollinger Band, form another lower high on the daily, and then consolidate and look to form a higher low. If the bulls are going to see big volume, more than 1.7 million shares traded today, the odds that they can close above these upper Bollinger Band and 50-day resistances will increase. So it's all about whether or not the bulls have the volume to break out, but very key clear resistance at 34.14. So I personally wouldn't like a bullish entry just below these current resistance levels on the daily. X is a double top, so it's a top fishing play. Exit for the bears if we break 30.84. And SPY bounce at this point, still not very impressive. They held support, but the bounce didn't really see a ton of follow through. Tesla heading down to 300. If we break 300, we're looking down to 297.60 on Tesla. It's actually 297.90 that the next support is. TLT, need to be cautious of that increasing bear volume. That third candlestick on the 5-minute time frame into the morning had really strong bear volume behind it. It's a very strong daily chart with the bulls buying the dip yesterday. Very healthy consolidation. Now looking for continuation. 123.92 was the high of yesterday. 123.93 the high of today. So there is a bit of a double top at that level. Bulls must break that more convincingly to be heading up to the next resistance of 124.17. But again, that volume is just a heads up to the bulls, a little bit of a warning sign. Price action still holding, but if we cannot break 123.92 and 93 to see continuation, we will likely hit a new low of the day. Key support test on Tesla approaching. Facebook more significant pullback now. Inside bars, that's a bear break on Facebook. The 5-minute time frame had multiple inside bars in a row and then had a clear bear break, and here we are at the low of the day. So a more clear rejection from the all-time high resistance. Here comes X testing the high of the day of 30.84 double top, clear resistance level. Break of that level, and we look up to 31 and 31, I believe it was 31.06 the high of yesterday. So PCLN had a clear bear break. Very clear bear break. As soon as 1760 broke, the higher low pattern on the daily broke. And good call on that bearish momentum at the end of the day. That was a little bit of a heads up, but here is that ascending triangle pattern, and we have very clearly broken well below support. We just took out the lows of the past 3 days, so we were looking for a break from the tightening range, and it is a clear bear break. We just dropped down to 1751, but the next daily support is down at 1739. So Facebook bears in control at the low of the day. SPY bounce was very weak. We're heading back down to 235 support. Facebook support is 143.39. Lulu key resistance is the high of this bounce so far at $54, and then the daily middle Bollinger Band is 54.14. The bulls are still holding up well on this bounce on Lulu. Still a double top on X at the high of the day. Still weakness on Amazon as we're approaching the low of the day. SPY is approaching the low of the day as well. So bulls have not proven anything to us in the market just yet in terms of today's action. TWLO down at the low of the day, further pullback, odds of confirming the bearish reversal candlestick from yesterday more likely. So Tesla pulling back 60 cents from resistance and bouncing 42 cents off support. So still staying within that key clear range. And I would imagine we're going to get a break of that at some point today, but might not. Netflix bulls holding up regardless of the SPY weakness at this point. They're right up at the high of the day. Bull miners are seeing some recovery with this SPY weakness. NUGT breaking the lower high pattern, trying to break it on the 5-minute as we're up at the high of the day. So again, the correlation, whenever we see market weakness, we see the miners and gold reacting to the upside. So if you are a bull miner, you want to see SPY break 235. Nice pullback on X after that double top. Top fishing play playing out. We'll see if the bulls can form a higher low compared to 30.18, the low of the day. If Amazon hits a new low of the day, we're looking down at 897. Make that 896.29. And VRX continues to fall apart. A bear's dream. Breaking the low of yesterday. Down at the low of the day currently. Twitter is rejecting from the daily middle Bollinger Band yet again. This continues to play out. We have rejected from the daily middle Bollinger Band the past 2 days in a row, and pretty much the past half dozen times we have tested this level. Bears maintaining control on the daily time frame as long as that resistance continues to reject the price. Facebook low of the day test. New low on Amazon. So Amazon bears should benefit if we see SPY hit a new low of the day and break this 235. Google is rejecting from the daily upper Bollinger Band resistance after an indecision candlestick ended up forming yesterday. Google support is the low of yesterday of 857.50. So the bulls in the market here in SPY are just barely clinging on. SPY 200 period 5-minute support being tested again. The last 5-minute support is 235.06. RTN increasing bull volume. Looking really strong. Breakout mode on the daily. Resistance is 155.68. And the highest price we've seen in the past 3 months is 156.77. So a strong start to the day in breakout mode on the daily. Bear break on SPY, continuation to the downside. The daily middle Bollinger Band is 234.79 support, so that is one of the next levels to be looking at on SPY. Amazon with the bear break. So Amazon is a lead bear that is responding to SPY weakness. Facebook responding as well. So we got both Amazon and Facebook with some bearish signals, and now the SPY rollover is helping those bears to the downside. CMG pulling back, looking like we are going to start to see consolidation in CMG. As I've been saying personally, I'm not going to play CMG bearish. There is a gap down at 471.57. X is near the low of the day. And now we'll look for SPY to backtest its 200 period 5-minute resistance of 235.06. Bears want to see a backtest and rejection. So X now looking like we're forming a tightening range with a higher low trying to be established compared to the low of the day, 30.25, and a clear double top at the high of the day resistance. Tech sector is down a little bit more than the financial sector, usually the other way around. SPU bulls still continuing with strength. We're looking up at the high of yesterday. That's all the way up at 433. So $4 psychological resistance would come first. Bull volume very clearly outweighing bear volume today. Hourly resistance, that rejected the high of yesterday. And that's up at 413, the 100 period hourly resistance. So a nice channel between the 20 period hourly support and the 100 period resistance played out yesterday. And it's tightening here today. That's a clear channel to be watching. Keeping an eye on SPY volume, we did see increasing bear volume when we hit that new low of the day. And not really seeing much bull volume on this bounce attempt at this point. But again, the Netflix bulls are standing out at the high of the day and about to hit a new high of the day. Still trying to confirm that reversal candlestick from yesterday. TWLO 5-minute RSI is 27. We've seen TWLO able to hit a lower RSI on the 5-minute than a lot of other names. 3109 is daily support. Here we are at that level. After 3109 is 31. And then there's not a lot of clear support in the near term after 31. SPY backtesting and rejecting from the 200 period 5-minute resistance of 235.06 at this point. VRX, another leg to the downside. And you better believe that bears, every time we hit a new low, a lower low on this pullback, the bears just jump on it. So every time that I've seen the low of the previous day on VRX break, we just get a flush to the downside. It was at 892 previously. We got a break of 892 and quickly dumped to 886. We got a break of 886 and quickly dumped to 873. So Baba and Netflix still holding up near their high of the day. So if the SPY bulls were to show up and turn things around, those would be two names to be keeping an eye on. As Netflix is up to 142. So seeing some decent follow through on this bounce over the past 2 days. SPY still testing exponential resistance. We need a new high of the day on SPY for the bulls to prove anything on a bounce. Bulls are trying to defend the hourly 20 period moving average support on SPY of 235.06, and this candlestick closes in a half an hour. AUPH, bulls in full control. We bounced off the last 5-minute moving average support at the low of the day and then rocketed to the upside. That was at 718. Upper Bollinger Band daily resistance is 782. We are currently rejecting from that level. If we can close above 782 and be in breakout mode, we already have huge volume today. We're already past yesterday's total volume. So if we can get above 782 on the daily time frame, the next resistance is up at $8 psychological. So SPY bulls have to see a new high of the day to prove anything. They're making an attempt to hold this hourly 20 period support. BRKB, very clear 5-minute channel, trying to get over 164.91 for a bull break. Over the 20 period 5-minute resistance. And then we're looking at the high of yesterday, 165.24. Need to confirm that bullish candlestick from yesterday by breaking 165.24 and seeing continuation, just like Netflix broke its high of yesterday and is seeing continuation as well. WFC making a bull break up at the high of the day, so the financial sector is now trying to go in the green as XLF is at the high of the day. Already broke the high of yesterday on WFC, so seeing some nice follow through. And next resistance, 54.02, and support is now the 20 period 5-minute at 53.61. X is still seeing weakness down near the low of the day. As we've got Facebook down at the low of the day as well. Tesla continues to just have tightening ranges, looking at the range of the bounce yesterday. Just higher lows and lower highs. Checking the daily on AAOI. pulled back significantly and recovered up towards the high of the day. We didn't fill the gap on that pullback, but the bulls clearly recovered with some solid bull volume. We need to see a break of 45.94 to indicate we are going to see continuation on this bull move. If we get a new high of the day after 45.94, we're looking at 46.37 as the next resistance. So I would want to see a new high of the day. I don't want to buy just under the high of the day resistance, as we are pulling back just slightly under that level. X new low of the day, nice double top bear or double top fishing play, leading to a new low of the day. TWLO is down at the low of the day. Facebook at the lows. And let's see if these SPY bulls can hold on. Still rejecting from exponential resistance on SPY. AKTX must hold 1680 to keep the higher low pattern intact. Nice follow through to the upside. Bull break over the high of yesterday, and the next resistance after the high of today is 1820. So 18 psychological is the next resistance, and we're holding exponential 5-minute support all morning. Bulls want to see that continue to play out. So NVDA bulls showing up. Looking at the yesterday high, that's 101.45, next key level. Nice turnaround for the bulls. Holding the hourly 20-period moving average support and trying to break that high of yesterday for continuation. Amazon still right near the low of the day. Bulls not really showing up on Amazon at this point. CMG continuing to pull back at the low of the day. Biotech sector not really doing much for the bulls. So a pretty slow morning, but it's definitely favoring the bears. But it's by no means is it a dump. We're down 0.1% on SPY. A clear downtrend the last hour on SPY 5-minute, but considering the bull move we saw yesterday, this is not a significant pullback, and we're just battling around the 20-period hourly support of 235.06. PI, big time bull volume, bull break. And that is one strong chart. Breakout mode over the upper Bollinger Band the past 3 days, big bull volume, and the last resistance to be looking at in the near term is 37.42. Very key level, highest price we've seen in the past 3 months. 5-minute RSI is 85, so certainly overbought. But the bulls are in full control on the daily and the 5-minute. New lows on Amazon. New lows on Facebook. Amazon has been rejecting from daily, or I should say from 5-minute exponential resistance the entire morning. Pretty weak 5-minute chart on Amazon. But we do have RSI on the 5-minute down at 26, so we are oversold. Low of the day test on SPY. PCLN still seeing some weakness. We saw a bounce and back tested 1760 resistance and rejected from it. SPY, I don't have that volume glitch. Don't have any 5-minute candlesticks over 1 million besides the first one. And I did have that glitch temporarily, but Fidelity removed it. Low of the day on the biotechs. So SPY just formed a higher low compared to the low of the day by 2 pennies. So let's see if the bulls are able to break this downtrend. Bulls need to break 235.18. Try and turn things around. Tesla will not be for real unless it breaks 304.50. It's a very clear channel between 300 and 304.50. Anything below or above that level is just fitting within the range that was set at the low of the dump and the high of the bounce after the dump from yesterday afternoon. Still weakness in X. Tesla bulls are seeing increasing bull volume on the 5-minute time frame the last 15 minutes on the way back up. As we test the high of the day, 303.90. And then the last 5-minute moving average resistance is right at 304.49, that level of resistance to be watching. So SPY bulls close to trying to turn things around after that double bottom at the low of the day. Still battling right at the hourly 20 period. That's been a magnet so far this morning. 235.06. Amazon 5-minute oversold bounce underway. Cooling off the RSI. So as of right now, after seeing the move we saw yesterday, this SPY consolidation is pretty much, bulls are perfectly fine with what consolidation is ongoing here. Especially if we hold this hourly 20 period. If we close this hourly candlestick at about 235.10 plus, could be a bullish reversal hammer on the hourly as well. So not counting out the bulls today, but they do have some proving to do on the 5-minute to break this lower high pattern. HMNY 20 period support 294 needs to hold, and we're likely to see a inside bar with a tightening range compared to yesterday's range. So volatility not likely to be high like it was yesterday because of that lower open we saw. 296 is a must hold support. It's a consolidation low after the bull move from the high of the day. So 296 support and 319 resistance. The daily upper Bollinger Band is 309. That's the goal for the bulls to close above today. 309 to remain in breakout mode on the daily. But again, certainly unlikely to see the kind of volatility we saw yesterday. Nice bull break on NVDA. The next key resistance on NVDA is going to be 101.73, and that's a very key level. We're just below it right now. X just hit a new low of the day, so that double top. Bears affirming their control at this point. LABU seeing weakness. All 5-minute moving averages are resistance, so the biotech sector hasn't really done anything for the bulls so far today. We had an inside bar yesterday, and we have an inside bar today. So it's a tightening range, volatility dropping off, volume dropping off. And if we stay within the range of yesterday today, The biotech sector will absolutely be worth watching on Monday for a break of that tightening range. I would not anticipate a lot of volatility in the biotech sector today, the way things are going. And both XBI, LABU, and LABD, they're all inside bars on the daily time frame for the second day in a row so far. So the range of yesterday is the levels to be watching. Gold bulls are still in control. They back tested that previous resistance on the hourly at the 1282 level, and they held it 3 hours in a row. And they're now trying to turn things around. As long as 1282 holds as support, the bulls are in control on the hourly time frame. Amazon is still struggling at the 5-minute exponential resistance. We have rejected pretty much every candlestick so far today. The SPY bulls need this break of 235.18, and then we're looking at the 20-period 5-minute resistance right after that. But if we do break 235.18, we will have a double bottom at the low of the day by 2 pennies, and then a break of the lower highs on the 5-minute. ISRG inside bar yesterday, inside bar today, tightening range, favoring the bulls because we are above the upper Bollinger Band in breakout mode, but it looks like it's going to be a pretty low volatility day as volume and trading range drops off over the past 2 days. The upper Bollinger Band on the daily is 805.11. And we need to see a new low of the day for the bears to get any kind of momentum. But looking like a pretty tight range is likely today on ISRG. Financial sector back at the high of the day. XLF trying to get a bull break. NVDA, nice continuation coming up on that key resistance. And then we'll be looking at 102 psychological after it. Tesla 5-minute chart looking fairly strong. Let's see if that 5-minute chart gets a cup and handle pattern going. Left side of the cup pulled back. Right side of the cup is lower than the left side. Now we're consolidating a little bit in the handle. Need to see a big bull volume spike and a break of the high of the day to see that follow through. SHLD is following through with profit taking. The bears really want to see a break of 1273. That would break the higher low pattern on the daily. They also want to see more than 1.8 million shares traded on a pullback day today. The bears definitely have a little bit of momentum in the short term, but if it's a higher low compared to 1273, the bulls will remain in control. And right now, $13 psychological support is holding on SHLD. So longer term, the bulls are still in control on the daily, but the bears are in control today. Need that break of $13. Keeping an eye on these Tesla bulls. Tesla is positioned to be able to break 304.50 if the SPY bulls turn around this 5-minute downtrend and retake control. The way VRX is trading, I can't imagine that they are going to be a listed company much longer. I wonder what the listing requirements are. They're probably close to breaking those listing requirements. High of the day test on Tesla, watching that 304.50. IPG oversold bounce underway to start the morning. After the gap down, the bulls buying the gap in a big way. And we can be keeping an eye out for the bulls to perhaps run out of steam here. The gap fills all the way at 25.10. 20-period 5-minute resistance is 24.80. If we are unable to get above that 20-period 5-minute resistance, we have a higher low pattern to be watching. Support is 24.46. Last little base of support formed on the way up. Bulls have to get over that 20-period 5-minute in order to be continuing to the upside to fill the gap. And keeping an eye on volume. Nothing really stands out on volume at the moment. Bulls have been buying the dip all morning. Let's see if they run out of steam. RAD very weak. Potentially for RAD. Again, I don't have the listing requirements off the top of my head. But we have lost over 50% in 2017. The SPY bulls close to turning around here. Trying to break that lower high 5-minute pattern. Baidu bulls are still holding on. They're up near the high of the day. NVDA bulls are positioned well if the SPY bulls turn things around. ASPS 100-period 5-minute resistance, 28.29. Get over that level. And we're looking at some nice room to the upside after a new high of the day. So a key 5-minute resistance test right now. And then we would be looking up at daily moving average resistances at 29.10. We can get over that 100-period 5-minute. There is some nice upside room for the bulls. Tesla still strong on the verge. PCLN back down, approaching the low of the day. Still no strength, still no real correlation to the S&P 500 after that lack of correlation yesterday. So we've got the financial sector trying to guide the S&P 500 bulls to turn things around. Financial sector just hit a new high of the day, but it's the tech sector that is still not following through. So this hourly candlestick on SPY closes in 8 minutes. And watching to see if we can keep this 20-period hourly support. And if we were to close right here, right now, it would be a bullish reversal hammer on the hourly. 20-period 5-minute resistance, 235.22. BMY, extremely strong day, increasing bull volume here up at the highs. We are over, well, we're not even that overbought. The RSI is 62 on the 5-minute. So the high of this bounce we've seen, this oversold bounce playing out, is 53.66. And we did break that today. The next level is the daily middle Bollinger Band of 53.86. So here come the Tesla bulls, 304.50. Key level. Nice continuation for AAOI bulls. So we didn't fill the gap, but we got back to the high of the day. And the bull break on the high of the day, you can see that volume spike where traders recognizing the new high of the day and jumping in as we now look at 46.37 resistance and then the 50-day moving average of 46.66. So SPY bulls have set a double bottom at the low of the day and broken the lower high pattern on the 5-minute. And a new high of the day would be very convincing of that strength. So here's Tesla, 304.50, and then we're looking at 305 after that. There's not a ton of resistance on Tesla at these levels because of that dump yesterday. And we are at the last 5-minute moving average resistance and a pretty good looking 5-minute cup and handle pattern. That consolidation didn't really last long forming that handle, but the psychology of the pattern is in play. Baba is still weak. Bull's not responding to any strength. 200 period 5-minute support is 112.28 on Baba. That's a must-hold level. Otherwise, we're looking down at 112 psychological. But the bears are definitely in control. It's a very clear 5-minute channel with the 200 period 5-minute support and the 20 period and 100 period 5-minute resistance rejecting the high of the day. But the bears are definitely still in control of Baba at this point. SPY currently rejecting from the 20 period 5-minute resistance of 235.21. That's the next hurdle for the bulls to get over. Netflix back at the high of the day, still seeing this bounce play out on Netflix. As VRX is at the low of the day. It's almost like we get a guaranteed 1 to 3% to the downside on VRX almost every day. Lulu weekly chart getting over the lower Bollinger Band resistance, which rejected the bounce attempt last week. So the bounce is playing out, but we have to be aware that we could be forming a bear flag on the weekly time frame even after this strong move. We're just testing the 4-period exponential resistance on the weekly. That's at 53.75. So as we know, if we cannot get over these exponential resistances, the odds of it being a bear flag increase. So a key resistance test, and we're going to have to get over these exponential resistances next week. Otherwise, that potential bear flag will still be in play. So SPY rejection from the 20 period 5-minute. Bulls need to form a higher low on the 5-minute and then make another attempt at that resistance level. NVDA high of the day test. Netflix high of the day test. Tesla broke 304.50 by 7 cents. Obviously, that's not very convincing. But the bulls still in control of the 5-minute chart there. OCLR, I've got 910 and 925 and 26. Little double top. And the middle Bollinger Band and the 100-day are both lining up at 920 and 921. So the low to mid 920s, there's a lot of resistance. And 910 was the high of April 13th. So that 20 period hourly magnet on SPY, 235.06. Here this candlestick is closing in 1 minute, and we are right at that level. NLNK needs to hold 1873 to keep that higher low on the 5 minute. Some pretty decent bear volume the last 20 minutes. 1866 is 5 minute support if 1873 breaks. The daily chart's looking pretty good in terms of the bull's ability to stop a weak close yesterday at the low of the day and turn things around. Hourly is rejecting from the 200 period resistance of 1924. So bulls need to hold 1873 and resistance is 1929 and 1947. And I would certainly be cautious as a bull if that low were to break. FNMA is struggling at the daily middle Bollinger Band resistance for the 4th time in the past 2 weeks, and that level is 250. Must close over that level today to be looking for some continuation into tomorrow. That SPY total volume had a glitch. There was a $9 million spike in volume that was erased from the chart, but it's not erased from the total. So SPY bulls did hold the 20 period hourly moving average support, which is now 235.11. But we are pulling back after the rejection from the 20 period 5 minute resistance. So it's up to the bulls to form a higher low compared to the low of the day, and then get that 20 period 5 minute moving average into support. Obviously, if we break the low of the day, the bears will affirm that they have regained control on the 5 minute. Pretty tight range so far. We've got a 40-cent trading range on SPY in the first hour. We haven't been this tight in quite some time. NVDA, nice continuation, new high of the day, breaking that daily resistance. So we're looking up at 102 psychological. PCLN still hovering above the low of the day. Man, VRX down 3% on the day. 850 psychological support on VRX. So Tesla rejecting from the 200 period 5 minute resistance and the 304.50 resistance. Bulls need to form a higher low compared to 302.68. That's the level they want to hold to remain strongest on the 5 minute. Apple is in a very clear 5 minute channel. The 200 period 5 minute support and the 100 period 5 minute resistance has a half dozen rejections so far this morning. 142.14 support, 142.51 resistance. Middle Bollinger Band daily resistance is 142.64. Rejected from it yesterday, currently struggling at that level as well again today. But those 5 minute moving averages giving nice, clear levels. The SPY bulls still haven't really picked a clear direction today, but again, the bulls after yesterday will certainly take this kind of consolidation Pretty contained, low range. AAOI is at the 50-day moving average resistance of 46.66. TMUS, big time bull volume off the low of the day, testing 5-minute resistances at 65.02 and 65.07. Bullish consolidation on the daily time frame looks like a bull flag. So let's see if the bulls have confirmed that consolidation is over for now after 64.64 was the low. Big long lower wick on the daily candlestick now. So that is a healthy bull flag of consolidation on the daily. Let's see if the bulls can get through all 5-minute moving averages and turn them all back into support. X having a bounce off the low of the day. 20-period 5-minute moving average resistance has rejected the price all day. It's currently at 30.51. Bulls trying to close over at this candlestick, and then we're looking at the 100-period 5-minute, which rejected the first 3 candlesticks, 3 out of the first 4. That's at 30.73 from here. BBRY, that lower high looks to be set. 913 and 911, the high of the past 2 days, after 919 was the high of this move. If we lose 904, we are then looking down. Hourly support is 902. There is a good amount of supports on the way down, but if it is a top fishing play looking for an equilibrium pattern, we would look to pull back into the 880s from here. You could put a stop if 913 breaks or a stop if 919 breaks. But we do still have all hourly moving averages as support. X is going to be an inside bar, so choosing the direction to swing in would be a gamble. A bullish swing would be in favor of the 2-day momentum, and a bearish swing would be in favor of the 2-month momentum. But it's looking like a very, very good chance of an inside bar on the daily time frame, which we would be watching on Monday for a break. And we would have to break 30.84, the double top, for continuation. If we break 30.84 before the end of the day, then the bulls definitely prove that they have some nice momentum. So SPY's still extremely tight. Patiently waiting for a direction. AUPH big pullback. So the red flag for the bulls was as soon as the low of consolidation broke. That consolidation was normal and healthy on decreasing bear volume. We saw a bounce attempt, a lower high formed. So as soon as 764 breaks, you then have a lower high and a lower low on the 5-minute time frame. And the bears are really responding to that with some decent volume. We are rejecting from the daily upper Bollinger Band resistance of 778. And the next support here is 744, the 100-period 5-minute. So a rejection from the daily middle Bollinger Band and a lower high and lower low on the 5-minute. And it's the daily upper Bollinger Band that we're rejecting from. Low of the day test on SPY. 234.90 is a must hold for these bulls. Otherwise, the bears will take momentum in the short term. Amazon is a bear play. If we see a new low on SPY, we will likely see a new low on Amazon. Same with Facebook. Facebook is at the low of the day. And there is Amazon with its new low. Amazon has been a lead bear all day. We had exponential resistance. Very weak bull volume. SQ, a lot of bearish action today from the open. So a gap up open and giving it all back, a bit of a gap and trap scenario. Low of yesterday is support of 1730. The 5-minute RSI is oversold down at 26.27. So a new resistance level set at 1783. Looking very unlikely to close above the upper Bollinger Band again today. So we are consolidating, and the bulls want to form a higher low compared to the 1675s, which should be fairly easy for the bulls to do. We'll keep an eye on the volume compared to yesterday's 4.9 million total. And we can be looking for a 5-minute oversold bounce. We've had exponential 5-minute resistance the entire day. COUP is dumping on big bear volume. Its 5-minute RSI is extremely oversold at 15. Daily support is down at 28.86. Can be watching for an oversold bounce here as well. Just a short-term 5-minute scalp. As the bears have momentum on the daily the past 2 days. CSK, not a ticker. So SPY forming bases of support in the low 234.90s again, but we're not done testing these level. CSX still extremely strong. New higher low of support is down at 50.25. And in terms of resistance, we need to look at yesterday's price action. I'm looking at 50.28. We're above that. 50.40. We're above that. So there's not much resistance until the high of yesterday. 51 and then 51.28. S is very weak with exponential 5-minute resistance the entire day. 5-minute RSI is not oversold yet. We're at 34. We're rejecting from the 100-day moving average resistance for the 3rd day in a row. And we're looking down at the low of yesterday of 847 as support. SPY just hit a new low of the day by 1 penny. That's obviously not convincing. If we see a breakdown into the 234.80s, that will be more convincing. But as of right now, there is a clear battle at the 234.90, 91 level. For the 5th time today, we're testing this point. NVDA pulling back significantly with the SPY weakness the past 20 minutes. NVDA breaking 101.36 was a short-term red flag for the bulls, breaking the higher low pattern on the 5-minute. ASPS has the bull momentum in their favor. 28.49. And then all that resistance at 29.10 on the daily. Bulls need to hold 27.68 on a back test, that 100 period 5-minute support. So SPY looks to be forming an ascending triangle pattern on the 5-minute. I should say a descending triangle. And it would be another setup that would give us a nice trading opportunity in the late morning, early afternoon, just like yesterday. This is the pattern I'm watching on SPY. Yelp high of today is likely in, just because we're rejecting from the daily upper Bollinger Band and the 50-day moving average resistance. Unless the market bulls were to show up, unless SPY gets to a new high of the day, then Yelp bulls could certainly see some continuation. FNSR has increasing bear volume. I wouldn't want to get in at this point, and I wouldn't want to get in today after seeing this kind of pullback. Really nice 15-minute start, but now that this bear volume is starting to come in and we have a big upper wick on the daily time frame rejecting from the daily exponential resistances yet again, we have continually rejected from these daily exponential resistances the past month. I would need to see a higher low formed on the hourly and be confident that it's going to hold. The hourly 20-period support is 21.94. Have to keep in mind we are fighting the trend, which has very clearly favored the bears over the past 2 months on FNSR. CMG is still down at the lows. Not a significant pullback on CMG today, but the bears are in control of the day. So I'm going to wrap up the morning webcam here. I'm watching this SPY 5-minute descending triangle pattern. Yesterday we had a 5-minute ascending triangle pattern that had a clear break around 11:30 a.m. Eastern that gave a really nice trading opportunity. So that would be what the pattern I would be watching. MU, pretty solid bear volume here. An oversold bounce, rejected from the 100 period and the 20 period resistances, and we're looking back down at the low of the day of 27.59. Bulls have to form a higher low compared to that level and try and see a bounce. Bears in control of MU currently. Biotech sectors at the low of the day. Amazon still weak. Facebook still weak. So those are the names I'm looking at on SPY weakness. If we get a SPY bear break of the 5-minute pattern, we're looking at those three. And if we get a bull break, we're looking at Tesla, Netflix, and perhaps Baidu. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I will be back in 15 minutes to continue coverage in the chat room.